Hello and welcome to HCS Connects. I'm Kelly Gorel with Hampton City Schools. November is Family Engagement Month and we have a special guest with us today, Helema Vandivier, who is a Family Engagement Specialist at Bryan Elementary School, to tell us all about the role of our Family Engagement Specialist and why family engagement is so crucial in Hampton City Schools. So welcome to HCS Connects.
Thank you for having me, Kelly.
Well, we are very excited to have you. As I said, that November is Family Engagement Month. And we know that, family engagement is truly crucial to any school division as far as the success of our young people. So tell us a little bit about the role of the Family Engagement Specialist.
Well, in Hampton City Schools, we're very blessed to have Family Engagement Specialists in each of the Title I schools. And our role is very different depending on with every family, because every family and every household is different. And so our goal is to ensure that we're working with every family, that we all communicate effectively with them, keeping them informed and in touch, that we provide them opportunities to engage with their children and to be informed as to the different skills and strategies and things that are used at home to allow them to best reinforce and support that child at school, at home through school.
So a very important role in our Title I schools, just to really bring that connection of our families to the schools, be it resources, engaging with their teachers, administrators, counselors, school nurses, academic, social, and emotional connections. So a very important role.
Yes, and even connecting with our greater community, because we're very blessed that we have strong community partnerships.
We do.
That support our schools, and it makes it so much easier for us to do some of those things that, budgetary items just might not be there for, but there may be the extra that you want to provide to help support. And it's really a joy, and we want parents to understand that they are such critical components within the education of our children. And it's not that they always have to feel, we don't want them to think that they have to be the teachers, that they have to be so sound themselves in reference to the process, because making sure that your child is up and ready and has a positive attitude about school, making sure that they understand how you value their education and how important that is for their future. You can't that allows that child to come to school ready to learn and with a positive attitude and I can do it spirit.
So this month is Family Engagement Month. Any special events going on at Bryan to honor the month?
One of the things that we're doing this month is we're just focusing on putting decision-making back into making sure that we're putting decision-making into the hands of our families. And we're introducing our toolkits. And I'm so excited about
you brought something to share.
Yes, I love our logo. This is our toolkit that we're going to be using. So whenever our families see this logo, they know that it's going to be something special to go inside their toolkit. And the toolkit is going to focus on reading, writing, and math. We're just focusing on those basic skills. And coming back from the pandemic, being blessed to be back into the buildings, but that was quite a bit of time that our young people didn't have the opportunity to have face-to-face and one-on-one instruction in person. And so dealing with those transitions and some of the consequences as a result of that, we're going to need all hands on decks. And it's going to be really important for us to be able to give our families the tools that they need to be able to support education without feeling like they have to be the teacher.
Right.
So we've created some cool toolkits, and they will have information in them that talks about how they can support their child. We'll give them tools to have an idea of where each child should be. So each kit is going to be geared towards the children in that household. This particular one focuses on first and second grade. And then we will share with them resources and tools. Like this is a tool they'll use throughout elementary because it deals with helping to understand how reading may be categorized, be it DRA levels, be it Lexile levels. I call this is my favorite cheat sheet when I'm working with my families. And we're also providing them with other resources on writing and math as well.
Well, and I really liked how you had the portrait of a reading scholar, because we know in Hampton with our Academies of Hampton, and we have the portrait of a Hampton graduate,
Yes.
and it starts at the elementary level. I mean, it is that reading and that writing and those social emotional skills, those critical skills that make you ultimately the portrait of a Hampton graduate to graduate college, career, and life ready. It doesn't start in ninth grade.
Exactly. And I'm so glad that you pointed that out, because even though this is a part of our toolkit, the concept for the Portrait of a Scholar started at what is now Mary Peak Elementary. And the FES there shared it with me so I could then share it with our families. So even as a collective, as FES throughout the district, if we have tips that we share with one another, we don't have to start from scratch. We support one another, because it's not just about the students at Bryan, even though they're my special baby.
I was going to say, you're a little partial.
I'm a little biased. I'm a little biased because I always say I have the best parents, but it's about every child within Hampton City Schools, because we want all of them to be successful.
And you said FES, so we're going to make sure that's Family Engagement Specialist is what we call you all for short, is FES.
Family Engagement Specialist.
And then you talked about, at Mary Peak and doing the Portrait of a Scholar, and how you all collaborate and some share ideas, and some have some of the same activities in their schools, some have different. But I know that, like, for example, at Andrews, tell us something that Andrews is doing.
Oh, I'm so excited about what April Howard is doing. She is actually celebrating a family doing a portrait and telling a little information about each family for every grade level within the month. So each week she's highlighting families, and it is just phenomenal when you see those. So
and I have, and we've shared, and it's really exciting. I saw that for the first time, I believe, either on Facebook or Twitter, and made sure that we shared right away from our official HCS handle. But it was really neat to see. We try so hard to spotlight our students and our staff.
Yes.
But to spotlight our families. And we also spotlight our business community, those community partners all the time that are giving, because Hampton truly is. I mean, we are all together on the education of our young people, but you don't always see the spotlight of the families. And again, that's a crucial piece. It's critical for our child's success. So the Andrews piece, spotlighting the families, has been really neat to see through the month of November.
Yes, I find joy every time I see what she's doing over there. And every school has its own little unique components. Even though we're doing our toolkits, a similar concept is even being done at Mary T. Christian. But since they're the champions, they're doing playbooks. So their playbooks will give them ideas, the families' ideas of how they can help their young people. And just in case people are wondering why I'm sitting here with this deck of cards.
I thought we were going to play a game.
You thought we were going to play a game? No, but
she said no.
maybe later. But one in every toolkit that we will send out each 9 weeks, we're going to give them fun games that they can do. So nice. In math, they'll receive a flyer that will share with them different math games that they can do to reinforce basic math skills.
Very cool. So, I do want to kind of, yes, it is Family Engagement Month. It's November. We're doing some great things in all of our schools. But in all honesty, we have to address last year was very different. Like you said, we started out all virtual. We still had students that stayed virtual all year. Some were hybrid. At our elementary level, they came back 2 days a week. So how did that really affect the role of the Family Engagement Specialist, the FES? And what did you do to really still bring family engagement into the building?
It was... sometimes when you go into crisis modes, even as parents, sometimes you have to put on your creative hat. And that's exactly what Family Engagement Specialists did during the last 18, 19 months. We really stepped up to the plate. So different things, people were creating activities and having drive-bys. Well, maybe that wasn't the best choice of words, but
drive-throughs.
Drive-throughs to pick up activities for learning at home. We were making sure and delivering supplies to families to make sure the kids had the tools that they needed.
Lots of home visits.
Yes, lots of home visits. And even making sure that we were still being safe, wearing our masks, keeping our distance. There may have been where we dropped the supplies off at the door, rang the doorbell, stepped back, and then engaged with our families so that we still was able to make the personal connections. There were Zoom visits, Zoom calls, Zoom conferences. There were those FES who popped in on some of the classes at appropriate times. So we did whatever it took to make sure that we stayed connected with our families.
And that is true. I mean, you kind of put our motto in there of every child, every day, whatever it takes. And we did that last year. And it's very evident in the home visits, the different ways that we engage with families. And we are starting to slowly get back into that. I know that kids are back, that we do have some restrictions in our buildings as far as families coming in, just to make sure that we're still, not spreading any type of germs, being safe. But some of those things that you did last year, you're still doing this year to engage families, correct?
Yes, we are. And that was one of the things that truly inspired the toolkits, because currently making sure that we normally will check out materials from our learning centers, but making sure that everything is hygienic and following all the necessary protocols, we wanted to make sure that we could give things to our families that they could keep, that they wouldn't have to worry about tracking and bringing back. We are still doing virtual programming. At Bryan, we have a wonderful partnership with the Hampton Public Library, and we do the Mother Read, Father Read program. And a number of families are still very interested in us coming back and doing it and conducting the program in person. However, they have also supported the virtual programming. And so you have to do some tweaks. You have to make sure that families have the materials in advance. But it still works out well. And when you see the joy on the kids' faces, as we're reading the stories, how intense they are when they're listening to Miss Maria, or when we're working on the craft projects to reinforce the comprehension from the main features in the story, that you're still making the connections that you need to. And families can celebrate literature.
And so the Village Toolkit, that is specific to Bryan.
Yes.
So if I'm a family at Andrews or Mary T. Christian, I'm not necessarily getting a Village Toolkit, because again, we said that each school has its own flavor, its own style, its own families, and how they're reaching their families. So how would you encourage families that are not Bryan Elementary families, because they already all know you, how would you encourage those families to get engaged?
Well, if you don't have your personal FES, Family Engagement Specialist, that each child has a teacher.
Absolutely.
And maintaining close communication and consistent communication with your child's teacher. If they have a communication folder that comes home once a week, find out what communication tools are available through your child, and then stay in tune to those. Through every school in Hampton City Schools, whether it's Title I or non-Title I, we are using Parent Square and Parent Portal. So those are two key components to make sure that families stay engaged, stay aware of what's happening with their children so they can best support their child. And then every school's pretty much, I believe we all have counselors.
We do.
And so since they can also stay in touch with their teacher, stay in touch with the counselor. If the family is dealing with some struggles, or everybody hits a rough patch, and we've had a lot of loss during this time. So sometimes it's not a bad idea to make sure that your school counselor is aware, just in case that they can touch bases with them and let them know that that's a resource for them when they're in the schools. And
I'm really glad that you brought up Parent Square and Power School, because Parent Square is our communication tool that we adopted last year as a division-wide, so that families that have, maybe more than one child, 2 to 3 children at different schools, they were trying to figure out, how do I communicate? And instead, we now have a one-stop shop for our families, because you can download the app. You don't have to download the app, but you can keep track of everything that's going on with all of your children in one spot. And it has that two-way communication feature, downloading report cards. And then PowerSchool, we really encourage our families to make sure their PowerSchool accounts.
The parent portal?
Or parent portal. We call it PowerSchool. See, this is why I need you here. PowerSchool is what we call it on the back end, but that parent portal is very important, because that's how they can monitor those live grades.
Yes.
And go in and really look at academics. So those are two very important tools that we use division-wide, no matter which school your child is. But you made a great point as far as there are all caring adults in your children's schools. So have those connections with your teachers, with the counselor, with the school nurse, with the principal and assistant principal, the FES. Find that person you're comfortable with and your child's comfortable with, and it's easy to become engaged.
Yes.
So any other last tips before we end?
I think the best advice I could give is to all parents is just be present in the moment. Enjoy the journey.
And sometimes it's hard to enjoy that journey, but really enjoy the journey.
And make sure that you're making positive deposits into the lives of your children, because eventually they're going to grow up.
They are.
You're gonna be that empty nest, but you will always have the memories that you've created as a family. You will have them as parents, as caregivers, and the children will have them to move forward and knowing that they're loved and supported.
And that truly is such good advice. As a parent of a senior in high school, it goes by in the blink of an eye, and to really make those positive deposits in your child's education and their lives for those memories, because it is going to be over quickly.
Mine are 23 and 27, and being able to reflect back and hearing the things that they've paid attention to that you will probably forget that you did. And you'll say, yay, I'm glad I did something, really positive in your life, but, enjoy these moments, because it's going to be all of those positive moments that you create that will help carry you through the challenging times that will naturally happen.
Well, thank you so much for being here today, sharing about the role of the FES, the Family Engagement Specialist, and also just tips as far as how our families, that are engaged can become even more engaged.
Yes.
So thank you very much for being here.
It's been my honor.
And thank you for joining us on HCS Connects. And remember, it's easy to stay connected.